Will we ever stop being lame when we hear our intro playing? Time will
Just
tell.
Boppy.
Time will tell. Welcome, everyone. I think it's going to be I always say this, and sometimes I'm surprised, but I think it really is going to be a smaller, quieter night for our audience as the community goes. We'll see. We have a little bit to get through, and before we go anywhere, you have a guest to introduce as well. So I'm going to get straight to the point and do our socials. So that's out of the way. Real Tim and Katie on Instagram and Threads. If you guys don't know this by now, Instagram is our home base. That's where we post most of our content, especially like the live feeds as we're like going around and doing things. Try to give you all a little preview of what you can expect on Instagram. So that's where we really pour our heart and soul in. Facebook gets a little bit of that. It ports over. Website it's just so close to being up to date. It's so close. I promise it's going to be up to date soon. It's not quite, but it's just so close. It's so close, y'all. We've been busy. We have been busy. So, if you don't know us, thank you for joining. We're Tim and Katie, and this is our channel, Tim and Katie. And every other Tuesday, on a relatively consistent basis, we do live streams. Tonight, we're going to be talking about something that is near and dear to our hearts. And to that end, we also have a special guest who is near and dear to our hearts. So if she is ready, I'm going to go ahead and bring in, we have the thumbs up, our friend Kaylee.
Hi.
From Fantasmic Fandoms. Welcome, Kaylee.
Hi, thanks for having me.
You are somewhat of a regular. As regulars go.
A veteran Tim and Katie live stream guest.
It has been fun to have you on. Hey, Kim's in.
Hi, Kim.
Welcome, Kim.
Hey,
and
Kim.
John.
Hey, John.
Slog. I know John is a big Kaylee fan.
You always say that. I'm like, he's on your videos too.
He's so supportive. I mean it in
He is.
Like,
Thank you, John. John's a really nice guy.
Great supporter of the Kaylee content. For
John
those of
has
you who
some
don't
good
know
videos.
Kaylee, Fantasmic Fandoms is her channel. She has relatively, I mean, it's been getting more consistent. I was gonna say like on and off vlogs, but you really have a good base. It's all legacy content, I know. Like it's backed up a little bit, but we're loving everything that's been coming out. It is quality. We're willing to wait for quality.
Yeah. It's been doing a little better than I expected, honestly. It's not been doing bad. Well, I never know. I do it for fun, so it's not.
As long as you're still having fun with it.
That's the key thing, is to have fun with what you do. So y'all, Kaylee is linked in the description if you are interested in checking out some of her content, which hopefully by the end of the night you will be. If you're not already, please do check out Fantasmic Fandoms in the description. And while she's here, we're going to talk about other stuff. I will plug you, Kaylee, as well.
Thanks.
I didn't know, do you want to be Fantasmic.Kaylee or Fantasmic Fandoms on Instagram? Because I feel like...
Okay, so here's the thing. I feel like Fantasmic Fandoms on Instagram is just for the YouTube, but I often forget to post on that one because I made the mistake of making my personal Instagram my one and only Instagram.
Yeah.
Mistake, but I did that. Like I've been on YouTube for a while, so it was just a dumb like young YouTuber mistake. But yeah, I go by Fantasmic Kaylee. I've considered like trying to split it. It just don't work really well for me. So yeah, that's my main Instagram.
I mean, I think Fantasmic Kaylee works. It's in line with the Fantasmic Fandoms brand. But I mean, that's what I was getting at. Everyone go follow Fantasmic.Kaylee is her Instagram.
Yeah.
I guess the primary
Yeah.
Instagram handle. The secondary is hanging out there in the ether somewhere. And then
Yeah, I still post on it, like if it's a YouTube thing, but not ever other than that.
I mean,
so.
The important thing
Yeah.
is that your content is in one place.
Right, yeah.
So yeah, Fantasmic.Kaylee is her Instagram. Fantasmic Fandoms is her YouTube. Have you done anything with Etsy in a minute? I know you were working hard on the stickers for a while, and
yeah. Well, I never got to launch the stickers, but I have their like iPhone things, like little like
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, basically like icons and stuff, which were really fun to make. I haven't had a chance to really make a lot of them. I've got 3 on my Etsy, and actually the first one I ever posted, it's Winnie the Pooh themed. That one still sells. Like I get at least 1 sale a week on that. So like majority of the sales I've ever had on Etsy are from that one product. So I mean, it's still, I've got like
only need one.
for 80 sales right now, but I eventually want to start putting more on there. But there is stuff on it if you're interested.
Check it out.
Yeah, check it out.
Favorite her store.
Favorite the shop so that it gets some street cred.
Yeah.
You know,
and then you'll get
support
updates
small shops.
when you post more stuff.
I probably, full disclosure, I did not ask Kaylee about any of these updated social links before I plugged this into the description, because I was like, I have them, I follow her. Then I get her on the spot, and I'm like, is this right? So hopefully it's all right.
It's all good.
It's all right. But
Yeah,
y'all should definitely go check her out on all the socials. Follow her YouTube, subscribe to her YouTube, like and comment. She's super cool, and we're super glad to have her. That's the point. So,
I'm happy to be here.
what are we talking about, y'all? There's a reason we have Kaylee on tonight. We have all done, I think the 3 of us did one of our first live streams to get, like ours, because Kaylee's been doing live streams for a minute.
Mm-hmm.
But our first live stream, one of the first ones, was motion sickness in theme parks, which poor Kaylee, bless her heart, is a sufferer of motion sickness. So when we go theme parking, as we've gone at least to 4 different theme parks at this point together.
Yeah.
No, 5, 6, if you count both Universal parks in Orlando. I mean, we've been to a lot of parks.
It's been quite a bit.
Yeah.
It's been a significant number of theme parks. And Kaylee is a real good sport about like getting on the rides, and sometimes she like forces herself to do it because she really wants to do the ride, even though she knows it's gonna mess her up. But there's a lot of rides that she'll look at and she'll be like, there's no way.
No.
So like,
Yeah.
we touched on that a little bit with our motion sickness live stream, which was a lot of fun. And so we wanted to bring her back because tonight we're talking a little bit more broadly about what to do at a theme park if you're not going to ride at all. Now, I will say we're going to touch very briefly on like what if you can ride a little bit, but like you can't totally.
More so like non-thrill riders than non-riders whatsoever.
I'm in our circle, and this might be the case for other people too, I don't know. I assume it is. But in our circle, where we go to theme parks all the time, and it's like our hobby and our passion, you guys know if you watch the channel, like we do theme parks a lot. So like when people want to go to theme parks, they usually say, hey, can I tag along with you sometime? We say, sure. They come along, and then they look at the giant, take Hershey Park as an example, Candemonium, Skyrush, towering skyline obelisks that take over everything that they're seeing for the first 15 minutes. And they're like, there's no way. There's absolutely no way. Whether it's because they're motion sick, whether it's because they're afraid of the height, or whether it's because it's just like, it's the intensity if they've never done anything like it. So a lot of people will come to theme parks, not just with us, in just like general terms, and be like, I don't know about these big honking thrill rides. And every theme park, it seems like, for the most part, will use all the thrill rides in their advertising, because we're in an age of like record-breaking coasters. So every time something is new, it is also simultaneously record-breaking.
I've seen Velocicoaster ads for Islands of Adventure.
Right? And Incredible Hulk.
Yeah,
those are like,
but like mostly Velocicoaster.
You see the big thrill rides advertised, and if you're someone who doesn't like the big thrill rides, you're like, well, what is there for me at those parks? And I'm glad that you touched on Universal, because we're going to be talking about Universal specifically as one of our key, like, there's lots to do. But
I'm derailing us for a second. We talked about what we
begins.
Yeah. I just want to say, like, we talked about like reasons why you might not, or you or your friend or your family might not want to ride rides. And one of them is obviously motion sickness, which Kaylee can definitely relate to. One of them is fear, which we have all had that friend. I can think of a couple. I'm not naming any names. That is like, that ride is too scary for me. But there's also things like chronic pain or neck pain, pregnancy, physical or health
Age.
conditions that would prevent you from getting on a ride. So,
or just straight up being too tall for the rides.
It's true.
That's a thing too.
If you are too tall, you might not.
If you're a very tall person, you're probably familiar with the fact that a lot of rides will have a height limit that won't accommodate you. But for safety, like, it's good that they do that. But
so for one reason or another, you want to find out, is it worth it that I even come here? And honestly, there may be some parks that maybe it isn't worth it, but a lot of the ones that I think every single one we've gone to has been worth, especially with Kaylee. She's done a really good job of letting us slow down and be like, what are we looking at here? Because this is gorgeous. Because sometimes with me and Tim, it's like, go, 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 get the ride code, get this, get that. And sometimes we just gotta like stop and smell the roses. Anyway, but that being said, that just wanted to.
I mean, it's worth saying too, like the original, when we charted, we have like a whole list of live stream ideas because sometimes we run out of things to talk about because I just talk and I hit a wall. But we had originally a list of live stream ideas, and the idea for this one, and we had already recruited Kaylee for this one like a year ago. But the original title was Taking Time Out for the Little Things. Now that title is far too long to work effectively as an SEO title for any live stream. But like, that's kind of the idea, is like there's more to theme parks than just big high intensity thrill rides. And I was thinking about this. We took Katie's mom to Busch Gardens recently.
I was thinking of this too.
She is in no way, shape, or form a thrill rider. She is not big on coasters. She didn't even want to get on like the flume rides. Like, she does not want to have her feet leave the comfort of the ground as much as possible. She wants to like.
Also, she's 65. She's pretty
That's
healthy.
why I threw age out there, because it's not a limiter for everyone, but for some it is.
History of back issues, and I would hate it if I took her on something a little bit too rough and she ended up, out of it for a couple of weeks. So, but I will say, spoiler alert, she greatly enjoyed the theme park for seeing some of the things we're going to talk about.
And that's the mission, is to prove that you can enjoy. And my goodness, guys, we've been talking about Efteling and Toverland for weeks straight now. We just released our Toverland vlog finally after like 2 weeks of pushing it back. So you'll see in those vlogs like so much to do at those two parks in particular. But I'm trying to keep in mind like a mass audience like all over the world that might possibly tune into the live stream and how this will impact you. So with that in mind, our 13-minute intro. So let's talk about some of the things you can do in the theme parks without getting on high-intensity thrill rides.
Including making awkward faces.
I love this photo. What are you talking about?
I look like I'm in between. I look like I'm getting ready to receive instruction.
This, you were, because we were doing our dance.
Oh, okay. That's why.
This is an example
Jack
of character
and Sally
beats.
look great.
They were fantastic. By the way,
You
if you're
look
gonna
great.
Jack and Sally, don't do it at the Magic Kingdom. I'm telling you, the line will never not be 2 hours long.
Because they're only there for like.
What? I've done them twice, and I've never waited that long.
Oh my gosh, it's gotten so much worse since the last time.
I don't think I've ever really had to wait like that much. I've done. Well, I'm sorry. I don't mean that's sidetrack. Okay.
Did they come out for Mickey's Not So Scary? What were you there for?
I did it for Christmas. Now, to be fair, it might be different.
That might be it.
Yeah.
Christmas, it was really cool. They have like their whole like little like setup still, but like I never really waited all that long either time. But I also knew I wanted them, and I was there kind of earlier, so.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, rope drop them if you're doing the. Well, I don't know if I even rope drop them, but
This was at New Orleans Square
in Disneyland, and we only waited about 25 minutes.
We didn't even, if that. I think that was with a short break for them too. So.
Yeah, true, because it was they had to go back in and come back out.
Yeah.
Disneyland is better than Disney World in almost every respect, including character meets. But that's just going to be a thing I throw out there and never come back to because we got a lot to talk about.
Characters definitely worth your time to say hello.
I will say, if y'all want us to do a Disneyland versus Disney World live stream, we will do it gladly. So,
but you have to be prepared for Disney World to completely eat it.
Be prepared for controversy because Disneyland's better.
Yeah. Anyway.
Kim, this is Kim's advice
for characters, and she is character queen.
She is.
So I would take her advice. She has met so many characters.
They will absolutely be meeting next month, Kim. You'll be fine. New Orleans Square. Check the app. They're actually listed characters.
Yeah, because this is their little like
vignette.
Yeah.
All right. Well, anyway, this was just thrown in there as like an example of something you could do. We're going to talk about characters. I just wanted to throw that in there as like a.
It's like a transition.
It's bait, is what it is.
Yeah. You want to look this cool, like you're almost doing something? Go meet characters.
Almost. All right. So let's first talk about, and Kaylee, I would consider you a light rider, right? You will sometimes get on a
moderate rider? Is that a thing? Like a mild, like before moderate?
Yeah, I would say somewhere between mild and moderate.
You're definitely in the category of light rider with stepping over that.
In massage terms, you would request a medium plus for pressure, right? You don't want tough pressure, but you want a little bit more than medium.
I don't know where this analogy's coming from.
Yeah.
Rides and massages.
To be fair, it's not that I don't want it. It's like my body won't let me have it.
Yeah.
Like there's certain things.
It's motion sickness for you.
You are not scared. You just don't want to feel so horrible for a few hours after.
Yeah.
And to be clear, when I say light riders, I don't mean Tron style light riders, and I don't mean like physically light riders. I mean like people like I should have put LITE probably, like light dairy whipped cream. Like it's enjoy rides, but maybe not the big coasters, maybe not the big thrill rides. Like more so, you want to enjoy your day at the park. You can do some rides, but you're not going to do the big, huge ones that make the advertising campaigns. So for y'all, we wanted to touch on this very briefly because I know there's a lot of you out here, and many of them are in our circle. Well, we go to theme parks all the time, and there are people. I have a friend who is very like specific. She'll go on roller coasters, but she won't go on roller coasters that have big drops. So she'll do like, I'll do the spinning ones all day, but I can't do like the big 200-foot drop because I don't like the stomach feeling. And I'm like, the stomach feeling is what I live for. But different people like different things, you know?
I'm opposite of that. Like that's my exact opposite. I can do drops all day. It's fine. Don't bother me. Spinning. It's the little, what do you call them? The bucket thingy,
the cradle.
No, that kills me. I don't know why. Don't know why.
For those of you who don't know, we've already kind of announced subtly that Kaylee is coming with us to do some spooky season stuff this year, including her very first visit to Hershey Park, very, very soon. We kind of handpicked which rides we thought you could do, Kaylee, and then, let me be more specific, which rides we thought you'd enjoy. And which rides we thought you could tolerate once and then probably never again. So hoping not to absolutely destroy you. But I did take that into consideration. Like if it's got any whip or banks or whatever, it's going to mess you up a little bit. So we probably shouldn't put a whole lot of that in the day.
Yeah.
But anywho's it's. So, I mean, Hershey Park is kind of a good, segue anyway, because we are going to talk about transport rides, which Hershey Park has a lot of. Other theme parks have a lot of these rides as well. It's very rare to find a theme park that has none of these. Almost every theme park, not 100%, because I have run into some that don't, but almost every theme park has some kind of train ride.
Yep.
Little steam engine that's like, you've all seen the ones. Tiny engine, big person on it, big train cars being dragged by.
Some of them even have big trains.
Some... But very few. Dollywood is the only one off the top of my head.
Had a big train.
It did?
Knott's Berry Farm's train was big.
Oh.
Yeah.
Outlaws
we rode it.
Yeah, we did. I remember riding it. Bear in mind that Knott's Berry Farm was like I was on the outside edge of the worst cold.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
So, like, it's kind of hazy, but
Yeah.
But sometimes they're small.
I remember the ride. I just don't remember the engine.
Hershey's
Well, I just edited that vlog, so
yeah,
I recall it well.
and I watched that vlog, so I also recall it.
Yeah.
I remember the Outlaws hopping on and you being like, "I'm just a poor girl." That's what I remember most.
So yeah, take a train.
It's fun.
Train rides are excellent because they're, now bear in mind, a lot of train rides don't fit like a fast pass model, whatever the skip the line is for the park, and it's big with kids. So like the train in particular may draw a lot of families. You might be in for a slightly longer wait. It's often worth it though, because the train rides are pretty well laid out across the park. That's why they call them transport rides, because they move you from one side of the park to another.
If they're big enough, you might, like, Busch Gardens, they might be able to transport you to a different side of the park. Or you at least get a nice view, you get off your feet, you get some wind in your face. We love a train ride. I don't think we know a lot of people that don't love a train ride, to be honest.
Boats as well. Some of them have, be it pedal boats or what do we call the ones that we were on at the gondolettas at Efteling that would just get towed along. That was a good 25 minutes of ride. That was, I don't think there's ever been, in my experience, one quite like that lasted that long.
This is a slightly different category, but your Jungle Cruise type rides, when you get in a boat, you're outside and you're going around.
Which I would separate from like a Pirates of the Caribbean type ride, which has a little bit more thrill factor.
A little bit more.
But Small World is a good example as well.
Yeah.
Something that is very gentle, very lackadaisical, and it's just basically moving you from one place to another. Yeah. Skyways are another good example that we didn't
If it doesn't have a height requirement, it's probably gentle enough that your older mother with back problems can get on it and enjoy it.
Yep,
which is
what we did. That's the train at Busch Gardens. That's why this is on here, because that was one of the few rides that Kitty's mom was like, "Yeah, sure, that looks fine. I'll do that," and she loved it.
Yep,
it was a good time. Everyone does, so it's not like you get on as like a thrill seeker and you're like, "This is boring." It's fun. It's fun to go.
As a bonus, sometimes at certain parks, I'm thinking Knoebels, sometimes during a certain season, they may even have a themed version of their train. So a lot of times at like Christmas time, you get the Christmas light tour. At Halloween, you might get the spooky version of the train.
The love for trains is a known property at theme parks. So they do go the extra mile to try and upgrade it, I guess, seasonally.
And then at Dollywood, you go, what was it? Wild turkey hunting or whatever?
Yeah.
Well, not hunting, but
spying.
Sightseeing, like seeing them. Yeah. Right. And like the you got to see like behind the scenes kind of. That was kind of cool.
We did see deer out there. I didn't see the turkeys that y'all saw, but I saw the deer, which was enough for me. Wildlife is wildlife.
Yeah. That one was cool too. That one was open car. Which, I mean, the one you're showing a picture of is also open car, but like some of them have been closed, haven't they? I feel like
the Knott's one was like straight up closed, like plastic, right? Like an actual train that was moved to the park, which is pretty cool.
Yeah, which like you could have gotten on that and been transported across the country years and years and years ago.
Yeah.
Very, very cool.
I genuinely didn't mean for this to be like all about trains, but trains are very fascinating to talk about. Like train is a perfect example of a transport ride, but others include cars, like the little
like antique cars,
Autobahns, like antique cars, or even the ones at Disney World, like the Autobahn, the little gas-powered motor cars.
Autopia.
That's Disneyland.
But yeah,
Tomorrowland Speedway is Disney World. They're the same kind of car.
Yeah.
The boats we touched on very briefly, just the gentle dragging boats. Monorails, some parks have them, some parks don't. Disney has an actual functioning monorail that takes you from resort to park. But other parks use monorails as an actual in-park attraction, which is fun. Hershey Park has one.
Monorail.
It gets quite a wait sometimes, but it is
backed up.
It is a cool ride,
and we'll make sure to do it with Kaylee because it gives you some nice views and a nice break.
So, transport rides are a thing. Another thing, and this is slightly different, and this could be a deterrent for those who get motion sick, but I think it's arguably gentle enough that it doesn't bother most people.
I don't know. When was the last time you were in a carousel, Kaylee?
This is a really dumb story. I will share it. I was with some of my friends on a band trip when we were in high school. I believe it was like we were either seniors or juniors, and there was a carousel at some place we went, and we got really mad. I mean, we weren't rude, but we got mad, and we're like, we're not doing this ever again because they wouldn't let us ride the ones that move. They made us ride the ones that stay still, and I was like, this is an abomination. Like, who does this? Which we're adults, we're teenagers, but we're grown. So, anyways, after that, I really haven't done one because I got over it.
Well,
they never bothered me.
They'll let you ride up and downies.
I mean,
they should.
Yeah, as an adult, I've never been turned away from an uppy downy.
Yeah. We were all upset. We were like, this has
been a really old mechanism or something.
Yeah.
Where they were like afraid of the weight of an adult human on it.
I mean, even at that Christmas bazaar we went to last year, I'm pretty sure where that carousel was a portable carousel. Some years I got on an uppy downy one, and it was like, this is the greatest day ever.
Yeah, but I never got motion sick ever. Ever. Good. I've done a lot of them. Like when I was younger, I never got motion sick.
I guess they move around like slow enough that it's not too much.
Good, because that's on our list of things to do at Hershey Park.
Okay.
We were gonna do, and might still do, so nobody steal the idea. We were gonna do a gentle rides video from Hershey Park. It didn't happen this year because we were so busy traveling around. We actually went to another country, so that took away from Hershey Park's summer a little bit. But there are a lot of things at Hershey Park that are accessible to non-riders. So we're gonna go back and forth between Hershey Park and a lot of other places. But I do want to call out Hershey Park for being probably one of the most non-rider accessible of the parks out there. This is not a carousel from Hershey Park. This is just a random one I pulled from Instagram. But
that horse
carousels,
is giving you the side eye.
I mean, all horses give you the side eyes. They don't have front-facing eyes. These carousels are typically not very motion sick inducing. Some of them are very historic. I don't think Chad and Vanessa are in the audience tonight, but if they were, they would be the first to say they love the historic carousels. Like anytime there's a carousel, they're getting on it no matter what.
Yeah.
So
the one that comes to mind is the Knoebels one is very
They have
famous,
the rings,
and they still have this game, which I guess used to be on more carousels, but probably was some sort of safety hazard that Knoebels was just like, yeah, we're good. Where you actually try to reach over and catch these little rings coming out of this dispenser, and I guess the idea is you try to get as many rings as you can during the cycle.
No, you're supposed to throw them in. And there's there's a take cycle and then a throw cycle.
The more rings you get, the more likely you are to get it in.
Yes.
The thing. So anyway, and we also missed out on the famous carousel at Efteling this year. So the steam carousel or something.
I mean, it's not the most famous of carousels. It's just a beloved classic because it is a carousel. But there's a carousel in every theme park, almost. Not every single one that I can think of, but even like regular parks that aren't theme parks have carousels.
And a lot of them still have like the same old organs that's playing, so it's fun. And
it's history, if nothing else.
Hershey, I think, is a digital organ. But
that means they change their music.
But yeah,
for
you
spooky
get to go around the carousel to like Addams Family or something during the spooky season.
Well, that's gonna be in my head.
Yeah.
Kim, which ones were the headache givers? I know we were talking about the transportation. I think she was
talking about the cars with the gasoline.
Oh,
smell.
that.
Yeah.
I love that smell though. I don't know why.
I don't love it, but it does kind of give me a headache, but in some way it's kind of comforting too. Like, yes, this old ride. I think eventually they might all switch to like.
Not me. I'm like gasoline.
I think eventually we'll stop using them and switch everything over to like electric cars, probably, and that will be quieter too. That's the other thing is they are so
genuinely
loud.
Surprised that we haven't done that at Disney, who's typically very green in terms of like energy consumption and output, but. Yeah. I think it's just the classic nature of them.
I wonder if Autopia's already electric cars. I feel like it doesn't smell as much as Tomorrowland Speedway.
Might be.
Kim might know.
Unique attractions. So we touched on Knott's a couple of times already, but Knott's Berry Farm, I'm throwing out there as one that has a stagecoach, like an actual horse-drawn stagecoach ride that goes around in a circle. Now, it's arguable that these unique attractions are also transport rides, because you do basically sit on a moving object and you go around in a circle, which is the definition of a transport ride. But some parks have transport rides down to the train. Some parks have very unique attractions like this that you can only really experience at a park like this. I've never seen a stagecoach ride at any other theme park. That doesn't mean they're not out there. It means I've never seen it. So unique attractions like this, if I see this, and this, I think, guys, correct me if I'm wrong, because again, I'm just a little bit fuzzy, but I'm pretty sure that when we were going through the list of things to do here, we were like, the stagecoach is the thing we have to do. Like before we leave, it's on.
We all knew we could all do it together. First of all, because it wasn't like a roller coaster,
which proves my point.
And it ended up being, we also could film on it, which was great for the vlog.
Yeah.
Because as is at many theme parks, throw rides, you couldn't film on them. So we knew it would be good content, it would be fun, and it was a long wait, I recall. But it was it.
And I mean, you bring up an interesting point too, but I think it's worth mentioning that for any vloggers that are watching, the gentle rides at most theme parks, not unilaterally, this is not true of everywhere. You do have to abide by whatever rules the ride op set. But at many theme parks in the US, the gentle rides are not a huge concern for bringing cameras on or phones or whatever. You're not very likely to drop a phone while you're sitting on a boat that's moving gently at like 1 or 2 miles an hour, versus when you're on a roller coaster where you definitely should not have your phone out. So they will usually not police. If they have rules against it, we're not sure of what those rules are in most cases, because they're not clearly advertised. But if there are gentle rides in the park, there is more than likely the ability to flex around having some kind of camera or phone on them. I will go back there and say, again, follow the rules. So whatever the ride ops tell you, they have final say. But that was just a nice perk that, as Katie said, it was true of Knott's. We were able to film on this ride, where we weren't able to film on lots of other rides. So the stagecoach is a cool thing that we did at Knott's. Other things that I thought of off the top of my head were like the flamingo pedal boats at SeaWorld.
I was wondering what you were talking about, because you put in our notes flamingo, SeaWorld, and I was like, are you talking about
like seeing flamingos?
Looking at flamingos?
I mean, I think animals are part of atmosphere. But
yeah,
like, no,
I think that's a different category.
There's other stuff too that like I don't know if I want to include as like unique attractions. Like remember when we went to Six Flags Great Escape and there was like an add-on experience where you could like drive little cars around. It was like a go-kart track, but like not a proper go-kart track. And there's like, when you have to pay extra, I'm kind of like, is it worth it?
Right.
But for stuff like this that's included in park admission, absolutely. And this would also, I would say, go with like observation towers.
I was going to say, are we talking about observation towers? Because most people...
Not the one I was not talking about, not at Six Flags, but...
No.
But at SeaWorld,
like in general, like an observation tower, or something like that. But it's like a gentle, we're not talking drop towers either.
Right. You just go up, you circle around, you
Kissing
come back
tower, down. That observation tower at SeaWorld that's never open when we go.
Sometimes it is, and then it's only open for like upcharge.
10 minutes. Or pass holders could go, but...
That's true.
But it was still closed. But anyway. Pagode at Efton. Or Pagode.
So I will also say, Katie very briefly mentioned there was a long wait for this. There's always going to be a long wait for these unique attractions. Always. And that includes observation towers. Like the limited capacity, slow-moving attractions that everyone can do is going to have a much longer wait than any of the thrill rides that are built to churn out 200 people every 10 minutes. It's just natural. But it's worth it for things like this that you can only do at Knott's Berry Farm or places like it. I would say the stagecoach was a very memorable experience that even I, as someone who was falling ill in like, what's the word? Like
descending into madness.
Yeah, madness. I was on my way down.
On the way down.
I knew you were going to do that. I'm
a millennial. I'm sorry.
No one even knows who Ryan Capari is anymore.
Who? High school.
What was I talking about?
I don't know.
This is the cool thing to do. It was a fun thing to do. Kaylee.
Yes.
You mentioned when we were talking about the live stream, you had mentioned to me that some dark rides were on your list of things that you felt very comfortable and confident doing.
Yeah.
So, tell us about the type of dark rides that are okay and not okay.
Well, for me personally, I mean, I don't have a problem on majority of dark rides. There are some that, like, you know, we talked about Forbidden Journey. Ones that have like screens and are very, I'm sorry, I skipped a lot.
No, you're good.
No, you're good.
Okay. Like Forbidden Journey, where that one, I tried it again, but the first time I ever rode it, I literally remember nothing other than the first like 2 seconds of that ride. And then I was literally like this, try not to die. Like I was so sick. And then I've never done this before, but I had to get off that ride, had to go sit down. Like I could not even leave. And my friend was with me and she's like, "Are you okay?" And I'm like, "I don't even know what happened. I couldn't tell you. I know a spider spit on me. That's all I know." Like I have my eyes closed, just, you know, praying for it to be over. But and then this guy came up and was like, "You know, flying's not for everyone." And I'm like, "Yeah." But I want it to be for me. So I tried it again with Tim and Katie in Hollywood. And I think they had made some changes. Maybe I'd heard that. I don't know if that's true.
I think thematically some changes were made. Like they removed some Dementors, but I think it was the same ride.
I think it was like something about Harry flying in the beginning, like the way the beginning was set up. I don't know. But anyways, so I did it. I survived. And I mean, I may or may not do it again. I can't really remember. When I get to editing that vlog, I think maybe I'll recall. Well, I already edited it. So I'll have to go back and rewatch that vlog and see what I said, because I can't remember if I decided I would do it again.
I remember what you said. You said,
never again.
It destroyed me. Never again.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's
I said that a lot.
You were able to remember it
better.
I did.
Oh, yeah, there is a Whomping Willow.
Yeah. I remember that. It was so nice. But my grandmother, on the other hand, now I take my grandmother to I've taken her twice to Disney, and dark rides for her are different than me. Like for me, majority dark rides, I'm like, I could probably do. Like I'll say yes 9 times out of 10, probably 9.9 times out of 10 if it's dark ride. My grandmother, she has back problems as well. And if you're going with someone who is older or who has back issues or has a medical thing, like definitely watch a POV or definitely like ask, because I might be a little more adventurous than Katie. My grandmother also might be. She's very stubborn, because like we were gonna ride Dinosaur and I tried to be like, "You don't have to ride this ride." She was like, "No, I'm riding it." She was like dead set on riding it, and I'm like, "It's rough." And she's like, "No, it's fine. It's fine." She gets on this ride. We get off of it. And she's like, the rest of the trip, she don't say anything about that ride, but the rest of the trip, before we get on a ride, she's like, "Kaylee, is this a rough ride?" She's like, "I don't want to do a rough ride."
You're like, no, Nanny. This is... is it Peter Pan?
Yeah, like Peter Pan. So like some of those, like Peter Pan, Alice... Yeah, like Little Mermaid, like rides like that. I use all Disney rides as examples because that's what I'm most familiar with. But like
premier dark rides.
Yeah. Yeah, like rides like that are honestly like what I would say almost any person could ride. Like there could be a special circumstance, but almost any person could get on those if you enjoy the movie or if you enjoy just like things like what you see on the boat rides. Mm-hmm. You know, some dark rides have similar things. You know, you're just kind of there getting transported. But certain rides like Dinosaur or Frozen was another one. I made the mistake. I forgot Frozen had a drop, and I had to like, the picture is literally me holding her in the seat because I was like, "Oh no, I forgot." That one was okay. We did that one multiple times, but like Dinosaur was a no-go. She'd never do Dinosaur again.
No, it was the same with my mom. My mom wanted to do all the dark rides because you equate dark rides in your mind once you've done everything in the Magic Kingdom. All right. So if you go to the Magic Kingdom first, the other parks in the Walt Disney World orbit are not going to be a similar experience. Because like even when you go to Animal Kingdom next door, Dinosaur is your go-to dark ride, it is very rough as compared to Peter Pan's Flight, for example.
It's rough for me.
So like,
it's like
it's it is rough. I know it's rough.
I love it though, but it's rough.
I love it too. Like it's Indiana Jones is one of our three of our favorite rides at Disneyland. It's the exact same ride model as Dinosaur. It may even be the exact same layout, but it's just it's thematically different, and it's the same level of roughness all the way through where you're but it's fun. It's like it's the adventure of it all. I might feel differently in 40 years, but right now I feel like it's great.
We're trying to keep our backs in decent shape.
I'm not doing a great job. But also, rides this is Symbolica at Efteling, which if you haven't seen our vlogs already, which I honestly don't think we did a great job of capturing Symbolica because it's really hard to do that with a phone or a camera. But it is just one of the best dark rides I've ever been on. It's very interactive. It has every kind of effect. It's trackless. It's not intense. It's very gentle. Anyone can do this. They do have to have kids ride with parents, I assume, just because of like supervision, more so than because it's dangerous for the kids. But other than that, I mean, it's suitable for everyone. I think anyone can get on this ride as long as they don't have, severe back trauma that they couldn't sit upright for however long, 25 minutes.
If they're unable to stay seated for a few minutes, that's a problem. But
then you have screen rides, which are very hit or miss. And Universal, in my opinion, way overuses screen. Yes. They're getting a lot better at this because everything that they've opened since the screen ride complaints started to arise has been like a physical set roller coaster.
We love Secret Life of Pets, right?
Secret Life of Pets.
It was so cute. It was cute. I loved that ride.
Slow moving story narrative driven ride with a few screens in it, but mostly animatronics.
Yeah. And I love the original Spider-Man ride at Islands of Adventure. I still think it's an awesome
ride. And I love
ride.
Flight of Passage at Animal Kingdom.
But I once I've been on I don't really have a desire to do like the Transformers ride reskinned as a different thing over and over again.
I do like the Transformers ride. I think it's it does make you feel like you're in the movie. But even for me, it is like if I were to do it 3 times in a row, I would definitely be motion sick.
Yeah.
If I do it once, I'm good. But if I do it multiple times.
The fact that it's the same ride in Hollywood and Orlando, when we go to
Hollywood. Well, that's just theme parks in general. If there's a clone park, they're going to have clone rides that they move.
Yeah, but even some of their clone rides are not the same. We know the Mummy is different.
The Mummy.
Park.
Yeah. I did like the Mummy. Yeah.
I feel like I like the Mummy at Orlando better. It's a little bit less. It doesn't go backwards the whole time. Spoiler alert. So it doesn't hit you as hard as, if you're going backwards or forwards. Some people have different inner ear balances. So you might be more comfortable going backwards. I'm not that person.
But I agree with the statement that I feel like Universal overuses its screen rides. And I would say that's the same for Kong too, even though Kong is just literally pulling a portion of the tram ride and putting it in Orlando.
I think the tram ride pulled a portion of the Kong ride and put it in Hollywood, or I don't know. I don't know that for sure.
I was pretty sure it was the other way.
It could be the other way around.
But. It definitely pulled the portion of the Fast and Furious for that ride, which was just dumb.
We don't really need to touch on how Fast and Furious is for gentle riders or light riders because I'm just going to say it's a terrible ride all the way around. No one likes it. No one likes it.
I thought you were going to say it's Fast and Furious.
It's neither fast.
That's the ironic thing. It's neither fast nor furious. It's the worst attraction ever built. Ever.
Period. I don't think I rode this one. I did it in the tram ride.
But you did. No, Kaylee, but we did the tram tour, and that was the whole ride.
It's
the
true.
entire Fast and the Furious segment from Orlando is that.
Yeah.
That was kind of lame. I didn't like that.
Terrible.
It ended really badly.
To Orlando, and everyone's like, "Cool, maybe it'll be a cool car ride or a roller coaster." And they're like, "Nope, we just copy paste."
The best thing about the Fast and the Furious, and in point of fact, the only good thing about the Fast and the Furious ride at Universal Orlando is the queue. You walk through the queue, you see all of the character cars that were used in the movies, and you're like, "Wow, that's cool. That's Dom's car. That's Brian's car. Then the ride starts, and it's ruined. And everything is ruined. As soon as you get on the ride, you're like, what have I done with my life?
Like, this was a waste of my
I
time.
just stood in line for 10 minutes and it was too long.
Is if it's pouring and you just want to get out of the rain for a few minutes.
Or when you're going on it with everyone who's like, let's all go ride the worst ride ever made. It's fun to make fun of things.
Aww.
Which is why the internet is such a brutal place.
Yeah.
But other than that, I would never recommend getting on Fast and Furious. Anyway, tangent, but screen rides is where I was at.
Please.
I think
Here is Universal, more regular dark rides.
I think Universal leaned a little too hard into screen rides, and screen rides are a little tougher for people who have motion sickness and back trouble. So like simulators, I think we should probably, if you are someone who has trouble with motion sickness or with back, or if you have are with child, like
you have with child.
Are you if you have if you fit into one of those buckets, you are probably not going to have the best experience on a screen ride or a simulator attraction, because they generally can be very motion sickness inducing, sometimes a little bit rougher. So as Kaylee said, probably the best way to go is either to watch a POV on YouTube, which we try to post some on the rides we're allowed to film on. Other channels have just like an abundance of content. Every ride ever made has a POV out there somewhere. Next best thing is just to ask an employee at the front of the gate whether or not it's going to be rough, or whether it's going to impact motion sickness, or so on and so forth, whatever your
also posted warnings outside of the ride will say, if you have these conditions, if you're pregnant, blah, 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 they'll have a height requirement, et cetera, et cetera. So, err on that side as well. Need some advice.
Can I say one thing about screens? I'm sorry for the screens. Okay. So I will say though, for the motion sickness, like I definitely agree. Well, I definitely agree with everything Tim said. But like, yeah, if you have back problems, it is really jerky a lot of times with the screen stuff. But if you have motion sickness, let me just say, I highly encourage you to at least try one time, because every screen like experience is different usually. So like now some people, if they're like super sensitive, like maybe you can't do screens at all, and like if you've tried maybe once or twice and you're like, yeah, I can't do it. But the first screen experience I had was the Forbidden Journey. It wrecked me. So then the next screen experience I had was Flight of Passage. And I remember I got a Fast Pass for it back when Fast Pass was a thing. And I remember being like,
it still is a thing.
My goodness. Well, yeah. Wait, like this was actually Fast Pass, not Genie Plus. Yeah, it's not like all that. But I got it and I was like, okay, this is the only way I'm gonna try it. I don't want to wait in a 2-hour line if I'm not gonna like it. But I was scared the entire time because I really wanted to like it. But I was like, I'm so terrified I'm gonna get sick. And let me tell you, I love that ride. It is like one of my favorite rides ever. It does not make me sick. It's beautiful. And I'm so happy that I took the risk on it and did it. So like, I would tell you to take the risk, because even like roller coasters, like Mako, one of the hyper coasters we did with motion sickness, I know we talked about earlier, like I can't do a lot of the big coasters, but like that coaster, literally the entire time, I loved that ride. Like I loved that whole entire ride up until the very end. It was so lame. The very end. We're already like down. We're about to like go back in. The little turn to go back into the bay is what got me. The little turn. I was so mad. I would do Mako again. I loved Mako. I really did. So you just don't know though. Like I would say if you look at a ride and you're like, okay, this ride does all this. Or if you know you're a bad screen person, whatever, if you know that's your trigger, you know it's going to wreck you, you don't want to do it, I think that's fine. And I don't think, like, there's rides I say no to, but just try it is my suggestion. If you're younger, you don't have health things, or they're not a reason like back problems or whatever. Like if you have no other reason other than just like you're scared it may make you sick, I would say just try it. But I know some people, I don't ever like get sick. I just feel really bad for like an hour. So people have different experiences. I don't want to sit here and tell you you're a weenie if you don't do it. I've been a weenie before and been like, no, I'm not gonna, it's not worth me feeling this sick. So you do you. But I wanted to say that just because I would have missed a lot of good experiences if I would have not, faced my fear. So I wanted to say that.
And we always appreciate that Kaylee is someone who faces her fear. I mean, Kaylee actually beat us to the coaster credit on Cosmic Rewind, and I would have thought, genuinely, knowing what your conditions are for riding rides, I would have thought that you would have looked at it and been like, nah. Just from the outside, and like even by the time you made it to like the front of the queue, I would have been like, nah. But you did it.
No,
you did it before we
I did it. And I
wrecked
messaged you guys. I videoed them after. I didn't do any spoilers. I literally like videoed them. I was like sitting on a bench, like right outside. I was like, I'm not gonna say anything spoilery, guys, but it was totally awesome. I'm wrecked right now, but it was totally awesome.
Like, and if you've been on Cosmic Rerun and you know, if you have hair like Kaylee's and you wear it down, you know what your picture looks like.
I do like Cosmic Rewind.
It's a good ride. I would do it again.
Kaylee and I will go do Cosmic Rewind, and you can go do Tron.
Kaylee's not done Tron yet.
I haven't done Tron. I would want to do. I would try Tron.
I like Tron.
I would say she should try Tron. Try Tron.
The other thing about it, and this is a small side tangent, I promise, then we'll go on, is like, so for me as well, and other people that have motion sickness can relate to this, it also depends on how I'm feeling. So like all the times we ever went to theme parks, usually I was like, yeah, I'm down. I'll try like, most rides. Like if I think it may wreck me, like I tried Incredicoaster, I tried Mako, I tried a lot of rides. But then when we went to Dollywood, I felt kind of bad the day we went, the first day. I had a headache, and I think it was so hot, like so hot, and I get dehydrated so easy. I think I was dehydrated, and I just felt really bad, and I was like, I couldn't do it. And when I already felt bad, I was like, there's no way I can justify getting on this and it like wrecking me. But when I feel okay, I'm like, if it wrecks me for an hour, I'm okay. Like I'll be okay. Like if I'll do it for like a ride or two, like I'll pick one or two rides, and I'm like, I will do it for this ride. But yeah, it also just depends on like how you're feeling. If you feel kind of bad already, you're not going to want to make yourself like feel worse. So
the other thing about that day was that we had been pushing you all week too, because Dollywood was one of the last things we did on that trip, and we had already done like the Alpine coasters 1, 2, 3. We had done the Skylift Park. You did all of it. Like I don't think you.
That's a whole other story, the Alpine coaster. me thinking we were going to go full force the whole way down.
And you were like driving Miss Daisy the whole way
No, Kaylee was the one.
No, I did full force.
She went full force,
but
there was the one we did where she got stuck behind the kid. He was scared, and you were like,
I felt so bad. But no, that first time we get to the bottom, and I heard Tim, I didn't tell them, but I heard Tim say, I heard them both say they're like going to go full force. I'm like, okay, I'll do it. The whole time I'm going to do it because I'm not a weenie. And then I get down there, and then Tim was telling Katie, they were both actually saying, they were like, yeah, I had to pull up like 1 or 2 times just because it was getting a little twisty. And I'm like, what? I was like, I thought I was going to die. But I was like, I'm going
It's not that I think the carts are going to go flying off the track, but like when you come up on a corner, it's really hard when you have control of your own not to be like,
So
it
was hard. I was having to like turn off the little sensors in my brain. They were like, Kaylee, maybe you should not do this. I was like, no, I'm going.
When we did that bobsled thing at Hoverland, we rode together because if you weren't riding 2 people together, if you could, it was just taking so long in the ride. So we were trying to be considerate. So we rode together, and I've got the GoPro strapped to me.
Yeah, we have POV
we
out
knew we could only do it once, so we knew the POV had to be clean. So Tim goes like, he's got the controls, and he goes down, and he does not lift it up, and I'm like, oh! I'm like silently screaming the whole time, like.
And then going down the waterfall.
At the end of it, I finally like kind of turned to him and was like, like it was a lot of fun, but I've never once had like I usually have control of those things, and he just was like, nope, we're going full force.
And we did, and it was great.
That was fun.
We do need to move on.
Sorry for that side tangent. I'm sorry. That was just so funny.
So, to the main point of the live stream. For those of you who, despite all your best efforts, despite all that you'd like for your body, you're not comfortable riding anything. Is there still anything to get excited about at a theme park for you? Nothing that moves. We're going to be talking about only things that you stand still to do in theme parks. Is it worth a ticket? Depends on the theme park. It really does.
Yeah.
But a lot of theme parks, the answer is yes. So, stage shows. Every park has at least one. This, I cannot off the top of my head think of a single park where this isn't true. Every park has some kind of on-stage performance. And we call those in the industry, and I say the industry, I mean Roller Coaster Tycoon, a distractor. Something that draws the crowds away from the big ticket attraction. So like you can kind of crowd control and move people over to this side of the park. There's a show going off, every hour, every other hour. They have something to go see that keeps their kids distracted so that parents can sit down and catch their breath so that you can get out of the heat.
Air conditioning sometimes.
So I'm going to pull up, probably not the best example because this is an upcharge that isn't actually part of the theme park.
It's not a good example.
It was a great example of a stage show. So this is actually Caro, and this takes place at Efteling. It is technically inside the park, but it is a upcharge experience. It's not something you can walk into the park and do. Most shows at theme parks are part of your park ticket.
Right.
Most. Not all, but most.
So like recently we went to, well, now I've completely blanked out. Oh, Busch Gardens. I was like, what was it? We went to Summer Nights at Busch Gardens and they had like a
Celtic Fire.
Well, they have Celtic Fire, which is they have all the time, all year round. But they had like a fun like jukebox, music remix kind of stage show.
I think it was actually called Jukebox Remix.
Yeah,
but
which
I could be wrong.
Very
Don't come at me
reminiscent
with
of the jukebox kind or radio show that we all saw at Dollywood. Dollywood has fantastic shows.
Oh, yeah.
I would say Dollywood.
Gazillion Bubble Show, still one of my absolute favorite shows I've ever seen, park or no park.
I mean, Dolly Parton is a performer herself, and I think she takes live performances and music performances and all that very seriously. So I would absolutely say Dollywood's probably worth a ticket if you don't get on any ride, because you'll always find someone to watch or listen. That Gazillion Bubble show is amazing. That show we watched with the
and by the way,
radio show thing was
the
cool.
Gazillion Bubble show we were able to film. So that is in our Dollywood Day 2 vlog. If you haven't seen that and you want to see what the Gazillion Bubble show is about, it's so cool. We did not in any way, shape, or form do it justice. But I think us and Kaylee have both released vlogs at this point that have clips from the show, and it was phenomenal. It is honestly memorable in my mind.
I did.
They have had stage shows, but they've kind of retired their stage for the time being. I think it's coming back.
Well, they do seasonal
Yes,
they do seasonal.
But they also have like in-park performances. Like right now for the summertime, they have this a cappella group coming out and singing and performing.
Not anymore. That was it.
But that was for the summer.
That was for the summer. Yes, they transition away this weekend.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, like the at Hershey Park Halloween, I know for certain that they do have a stage performance because we see it every year. Of just like singing group, and it's aimed towards kids, and it's in the middle of the park.
It's like it's like Monster Mash style songs and stuff.
But like other parks do have like actual dedicated theaters that you can go in and see performances, like Dollywood. Disney has a ton of them. A ton of them, especially at Hollywood Studios, but like all over the parks. Every park has a show.
Festival of the Lion King is one of the best. Mm-hmm. There's a show.
Universal has the Born Stuntacular. Took me a second there.
That was good.
That was pretty good. I like that one.
Yeah, that was pretty good.
They used to have the pet show, but they're moving away from that now.
Yeah.
Every park has something.
There's the birds. The birds show at Animal Kingdom too.
Yes. So technically, that's a pop-up.
Yeah.
More so
well, it's also part animal experience too. Yeah. There is a show.
It's something to do. At the end of the day, it's something that you can do as a non-rider. All you have to do is choose a seat and sit down in it. And a lot of them, as Katie said, are air conditioned. They give you a break. They give your feet a break. It's something that the whole family can enjoy, whether or not everyone in that family is a big thrill rider. So always recommend the shows first and foremost. Another thing that we like to do, and I recognize that not everyone likes to do this, but we love it. Characters.
Meet the characters.
I promised we were going to circle back to this. So Disney, famous for their characters, right? Characters are everywhere. They have literally hundreds of different characters to choose from. And at Disneyland in particular, they're roaming characters. So like you can just go on a character hunt and you can find dozens every day. Other days you might see like 3 because you're too busy doing rides. But if you're not riding it or anything, the characters are like a top priority for you at Disney parks. Other parks, Universal has the Puss in Boots, they have Shrek, they have Donkey, they have Bumblebee, Megatron, Scooby Gang.
And they have the Meet a Velociraptor.
They do.
Which is fun.
Yeah.
Knott's Berry Farm has what's his name?
Poison.
Yes.
Yeah.
Really.
I just edited that blog.
Edited the blog, yeah. Poison the Bear.
Poison. Yeah.
Busch Gardens, believe it or not, they do have characters as well. The Leprechaun, it's seasonal characters. So Leprechaun pops up during St. Patty's Day celebration. Jack, the Pumpkin Lord, pops up during Halloween season. The Celtic Fire Dancers will sometimes step outside of their theatrical performance block to do meet and greets. What's the Dublin Over people?
Oh, yeah.
They often pop up.
Performers.
You notice a lot of these are in Ireland. Like Busch Gardens character experiences, admittedly, are more limited. Right. SeaWorld has their own characters as well.
Well, there's also Sesame Street. So Busch Gardens, SeaWorld, and Sesame Street. We have met Sesame Street characters. Knott's, Carowinds, the Cedar Fair parks have Peanuts, so you can meet, Linus, Lucy, Charlie Brown, Snoopy.
More and more theme parks are recognizing that in addition to having like kind of an IP, they need to do something with the IP. They can't just Six Flags, notorious for taking, say, DC Comics, which is a property that they own, slapping the DC Comics character logo on a ride, painting the ride red or green or whatever, and that's it. That's their whole experience. But they have, in recent times, started upping their game with the character costumes. Costumes are getting a little bit more realistic, more palpable. You could actually conceivably believe you're meeting Batman now and not, a guy in a Batman suit. So like characters are a big part of the theme park experience. And I would honestly say that Cedar Fair parks like Carowinds and Kings Island, Cedar Point are more amusement parks that are much bigger on the thrill rides, but even they are leaning into the IP of characters. They like to have something for kids or kids at heart to do that's not big attractions like that. So characters are a great way to spend time as well.
Yeah,
and by the
I definitely.
Sorry. No, you're fine.
Yeah. I was going to say, no, I'm sorry. I was going to say, I'm not like, I feel like y'all are slightly more into characters than I am. I do really like characters. I know. I do really like
dragging you around to character meets for years.
No, listen. It just depends on who it is. Okay. I just feel awkward sometimes because like I just don't know. But then it depends on who it is. You guys know. I cried when I met Loki, okay? In Disneyland.
That was a worthwhile character hunt.
Avengers Campus is like the top character experience grounds I could possibly imagine.
And that's what I was going to say. Disneyland in general is really good with characters, but like I honestly feel like if you are a Marvel fan, you could spend literally just an entire day in Avengers Campus and just like not even do a ride, but just like explore and like all the characters roaming around. It just feels so real. It's very different, like not to compare Disney World, Disneyland, like, but a lot of places like Disney World, they'll have like, the queues and you meet them like that. And like Disneyland does have some of that, like Iron Man had a queue. You had to get in it like right away. Or you were not going to meet Iron Man, but like a lot of them are just roaming and it's just like so crazy. Like with Loki and Thor and all them, like you just turn around and be like, there's Loki. Like what is happening? This is so weird. like,
At least once, I think Loki photobombed too. Like he just like leaned into the background when we were. Avengers Campus.
I love Loki. It's just so special.
It's like special. You enter Avengers Campus, right? You walk the length of Avengers Campus from front to back. You see 3 characters. By the time you're done, you do an about face. You come back. You see 3 completely different characters. The exception being if they are doing a show like the Black Panther show that takes up like a big chunk of the space in the middle. They'll be there for a minute. But like the other characters, they'll like pop in and out. There are so many Marvel characters at Avengers Campus, and they rotate them out so frequently that no 2 days are alike.
Yeah.
So like.
If they're promoting a current show, you'll see that character.
Yeah.
I mean, when Katie and I were there in December, so during like the Christmas season, we walked down, we saw Captain America, Spider-Man, and Carol Danvers. We walk back, we see Spider-Man, what's her name from Eternals? Cersei, Doctor Strange. We walk back, Shang-Chi, Jon Favreau.
I was gonna say, is he gonna talk about Jon Favreau? Happy, we saw Happy.
Literally, Jon Favreau was wandering through Avengers campus.
Literally, we saw Happy.
Took a double take, and then I was like,
and
that's Jon Favreau. Yeah, that's a
photobomb us technically.
He did.
He did not ask him for a picture. He was like, all right.
So if you count that as a character experience, it was a good character.
You saw Loki too because y'all sent me a video.
Yeah.
Y'all were like, Kaylee, someone wants to talk to you. And it was Loki, and he said hey to me. And I was like, this is the best day of my life. Like, I just love Loki. So I say I'm not a big character person, but like here, I really am. I just feel like I didn't realize I was. Like certain characters, it's like certain characters are not like must do for me. I'm not like, I used to be one of those people that like every single character I had to go see. And like now I'm like, I especially like the real life ones, I guess, where you feel, but like the Disneyland characters. Yeah, characters. But like Disneyland is so like, it's just so immersive. The way they do it is so good. And then they have all the shows at the same time. So like there'll be a show and then there'll be all the characters and there'll be like you literally could spend a whole day in Marvel, like universe, like the Avengers campus. So that's like peak, like that's how you do it in my mind. That's how you do it.
Was this past time when literally like Flynn Rider / Eugene came like running by us with the satchel, like he had just stolen the crown or whatever. And I was just like, ah! And then like I got a selfie with him and then I started like crying or whatever.
Oh.
And
you're me.
I never have gotten to be. I know he's not that rare. I know he does even like with Rapunzel meets, but I just have never run into him and he's my favorite. And I was just like, oh my God. And I was like, I don't even know where his handler is. He was just gone. And then we saw him again later with still the satchel and was like, maybe he's ditching. I don't know. He's like, gotta ditch his handler.
My favorite Loki experience was the one y'all had without me, where you were getting shots for our which we still haven't released as real. It's coming. But you were talking to Loki, and we're trying to collect feedback on movies, and you were like, who do you think would be most likely to cry at the Notebook? And Loki's like, what is the Notebook? Said, it's a sad movie that makes you cry. And he goes, why would you want to watch something that makes you cry?
Oh, Loki. So, I do remember that. I forgot y'all did that. That was cute, though. Y'all need to release that.
This past time, because we wanted to have enough to justify a reel, but
we love
characters. That was so cute. Yeah, y'all have a lot of fun. Y'all aren't as awkward as me. I feel like I just get awkward, but y'all are such, like, y'all just go in there. Y'all are great. And I'm like, y'all make it more fun. Like, I had more fun.
I hope you're ready to meet Hershey Bar.
I will admit there are times when I'm like, I need a good question to ask Snow White or whatever. Like Rapunzel I can usually talk to without an issue because I'm always going to be like, how's Pascal doing? What art have you painted recently? Like I just know these like things to ask. But there are like I think the most awkward encounter I ever had was with Pocahontas where I was like, you want to dance with me? And she's like, how about we wave? And I'm like, yeah, let's wave.
I think Pocahontas isn't as known for her dance steps as she is for her artistic interpretation.
Yeah. Like I've definitely, but then I asked like Mulan for a dance.
On the other hand,
was like,
dancing. You didn't even ask Mulan for a dance. Mulan approached you without any context like, for what we were doing, and she was like, oh, "You're so pretty, we have to dance."
Sometimes they do make it easier, but yeah, it is a little. I think there is something less intimidating about talking to a non-face character like Mickey because all they're gonna do is nod or dance a little bit, and you can just be like, Mickey, how you doing? It's so good to see you.
Well, the non-face characters, I feel like you're talking to a toy. Like it feels kind of silly, but like face characters will talk back, so it's more like it's personal.
I did get proposed to by Phineas from Phineas and Ferb. That was a fun time. I did. It was me and my friend. Y'all know Cassidy.
Yeah.
So we went on our grad trip, and it was kind of like awkward because like Ferb and Cassidy were having a convo, and me and Phineas were over here like kind of having the thing. And then he just like full on proposes, and then like Ferb and Cassidy were just watching us.
Did you say yes?
I don't know what's happening. He was like looking at my hand.
Kaylee, did you say yes?
And he was like, I don't know. I was 17. I was like, I don't know. I'm only 17.
Kaylee, did you say yes?
She said, I don't know.
I don't even remember. I think I was
She's still waiting to hear back from
You
her.
could be engaged to Phineas right now.
Man, that's a long engagement. It's been about 8 years, so Phineas needs to hurry.
He's sitting there mourning the loss, not knowing if you're ever coming back.
Now, if Loki would have done that, I would have passed out. I would have passed out. I really would have.
Would have gone right off the market. We have been talking about characters for like 15 minutes, and we do have to move on. Okay. But I will throw one more thing out here on this topic because y'all gave me a perfect segue. I just want to say, Aurora asked me on a date, and it's still forthcoming. It was a thing that happened.
She said you should go flower picking
with me sometime, is what she said. You have to come strawberry picking with me sometime.
Was it strawberry picking?
And I said, I would love to. And she said, we'll go. And it's coming.
Did you ever direct Marilyn's movie? Marilyn asked you to direct a movie too. Do you remember that?
She did.
Oh my God.
Left Marilyn hanging.
I forgot about Marilyn.
You left her hanging.
Oh my God.
Remember, because you were supposed to go direct that movie, and then me and Katie were supposed to take over the vlog channel and turn it into me and Katie.
I can never face her again. She'll remember for sure.
No, we'll never meet Marilyn again.
Nah, who are you kidding? We'll meet Marilyn every time we go to the every single time.
We're like trying to go somewhere, and Tim's like, that's great and all, but Marilyn comes out in 15 minutes, and I want to be in the front.
You like putting on chapstick in the
That was coincidental.
I remember that.
I hate you both. That was coincidental.
He's like, we're meeting Marilyn.
No, that's not what happened.
It really was, though. We have it on camera.
That's not what happened.
I'm like, what are you getting ready for?
I didn't say we're meeting Marilyn.
Okay, you said that, and then you walked and got in the line, and the second you were in the line, you were like...
And then like 5-6 minutes later, then I was like, my lips are chapped. So I don't look stupid in a picture.
That was untrue. It was like the second we got in the line, Tim was like...
stupider standing with the two of you.
I got it on film. I do.
Bring it all back. Characters are a fun thing to do for adults and kids. So, if you're a non-rider, character experiences, highly recommend.
My face hurts.
Dining experiences. All right. Disney is easily the ace at dining experiences with theming and atmosphere, but Efteling was a front runner for us as well.
Fabulous.
I just picked at random one from Epcot's newly opened Space 220 restaurant. So this, if you're a non-rider, so this is like smack dab next to some of the most intense rides at Epcot, which is an ironic choice. But it's something that anyone can do. Anyone can experience this, obviously paying and reserving the time. Like it's not free, but it's part of the theme park experience. You come in, you sit, you enjoy the atmosphere. Bless you.
I was trying really hard not to sneeze out loud, but
the atmosphere is kind of immerses you and takes you in. It makes you feel like you're part of something without you having to get on a ride to be a part of it. So I don't know how much we have to talk about this for you to get what themed eating is all about. But other places, Fabula at Efteling, Rainforest Cafe, literally anywhere, not even in theme parks, but sometimes at theme parks.
Mythos at Universal's pretty cool.
Yeah, Mythos or Mythos, however you pronounce it.
But there's also like quick service places that offer theming as well.
Harry Potter.
The broomsticks.
3 boomsticks?
3 broomsticks is what boomstick.
Boomstick.
Boom shroom.
Galaxy's Edge has some good like theming for like quick services and everything, just like the whole area.
Dolly's front porch at Dollywood. It was very quaint. It wasn't particularly like it didn't make you feel like you were in space, but it was very well themed to an old school front porch homestead.
Yeah. Well, that wasn't, you couldn't eat there though, right?
Yeah, we did.
Right. Oh, I'm thinking of her.
Was that Aunt Granny's?
No, not her childhood home.
Oh, okay.
Oh wait, front porch. I remember that was like on the main, like heading.
Yeah, when we were
okay, I
walking
know what you're talking about now.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And then
that
like
was
there's
cute.
like Woody's lunchbox, Andy's lunchbox, Woody's lunchbox, the one with the tots. That's
Woody's
that's
lunchbox
where
at
all the
Hollywood.
things are teacher toys and stuff. That's really cute too.
That one.
If we're gonna touch
Yeah.
on quick service,
So cute.
Satsuli Canteen comes to mind too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like you can get. You don't have to reserve a sit-down restaurant, even though those are probably like thinking of like Be Our Guest, highly themed in there as well. But you can also enjoy the theming, getting a snack, a food, a drink, just about anywhere.
There's also, we haven't been either of these parks yet, but at Alton Towers in the UK and at Europa Park in Germany,
Oh, the
I know the roller
coaster
coaster restaurants
where
are
your
very
food
cool.
is served on a plate
Yep.
or bowl.
Literally,
that
it comes down a roller coaster track to land in front of you, which is pretty cool.
Yeah.
So like theme parks are trying to encapsulate you in atmosphere and immersion, whether or not you're on the ride. So they're looking for ways to implement, and this is more and more true of smaller parks as well as the big parks like Disney and Universal. Like they want you to come in. I mean, honestly, they want you to come in and spend money whether you're riding or not.
Right.
So if you're going to a restaurant, they want you to be sucked in by the atmosphere. So they're doing their best to include you in the theme park experience, whether or not you're part of the atmosphere. Busch Gardens is Fest House. And I'll be honest, I don't care for the Fest House food. I really don't. I did initially think it was okay. The more you have okay food, the more it becomes less okay. So I don't love going to Fest House anymore, but the shows at the Fest House that are part of the experience of the theme park, you do not pay extra to be there. You do not have to reserve your spot. It's a fun thing you can do without paying an extra dime.
You can go get like a piece of cheesecake or something.
Yeah. Or, I mean, I'm not a beer drinker either, but they do have like a beer garden there.
Beer garden, yeah.
So, themed restaurants, another thing you can do. I dropped this on y'all because I didn't include this in the outline, but I remember.
I'm happy you did.
Yeah.
I was gonna mention it at the end because I actually thought about this.
I
while you
can't
were talking.
remember how much longer this is, but we talked about it. But anyway, we'll go over this and then I'll bring up my next point.
So all right. Well, I'm wearing a Halloween Horror Nights hat right now, and I didn't even think about that. Like, ironically, a Hollow Scream shirt. I was mostly just trying to get a little bit of spooky, like suddenly start slipping it in because we're gonna go hard spooky soon. But the screen grab here is from Busch Gardens Food and Wine Festival, which is honestly like one of our favorite times of year to visit Busch Gardens.
It is.
Because there's all kinds of seasonal entertainment. There's all kind of seasonal food. Like, it's things that are available to everyone for the same price they would pay on a normal ticketed day. Like, you get in and then you can do any of this stuff that's also here. Now, the food booths are obviously you're paying for food, but the seasonal experiences are just that. They're seasonal experiences that are bundled in with your ticket that you get to experience one way or the other. And we did, I think, when we went with your mom, we were there during Food and Wine.
I wanted to go during Food and Wine because I wanted to have a little bit more food options because my mom has some diet restrictions that make finding food at theme parks kind of difficult. So I wanted to have some more options. And also, when you are stuck at Busch Gardens just eating Fest House or whether Marco Polo's is open or not, it's nice to have some variety. So yeah, we love Food and Wine.
Epcot does mad festivals as well.
And it can be busy, but not like brand new Epcot festival busy at Food and Wine, which is nice. Because it's usually happening in the springtime or kind of near my birthday, it hasn't gotten too hot yet usually, but the water rides are open if you wanted to, jump on those. But anyway, love a food festival. Of course, we know Epcot is famous for festivals. It probably has more festival time than non-festival time in a year. So chances are if you're going to Epcot, you're going to run into a festival, which could be fun. Universal has done some. They have like Mardi Gras, which brings all kinds of entertainment to the park. That's unique. They have a parade. We didn't really talk about parades and stuff. That's part of like the shows.
Yeah,
and stuff.
I would loop that in with shows.
Yeah.
But yeah, parades happen. Most
happen
parks,
at
most
a lot
seasonal
of parks.
festivals.
Disney, Universal used to have. I think their parades can be more seasonal, but they do often have parades and stuff too. But anyway, we love the food festivals at the parks that we go to.
Is it safe to assume, Kaylee, that you were going to touch on Halloween Horror Nights or Hallow Scream?
Yeah, sorry, hang on. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, I had this AirPod died. I had to switch AirPods. That's what happened. That's why I looked like a deer in headlights. So yes, I was going to talk actually about Halloween Horror Nights and also the Disney events. But yeah, I think Halloween Horror Nights in general, well, also like Howl-O-Scream, we'll just kind of put them both out there. You know, those events, like if you don't want to ride a single coaster, those events are still like terrific for you. You're still going to get a good bang for your buck. You're still going to get to like have a full night. Like when we did Howl-O-Scream, we only rode Mako. That was like the only ride we did. Halloween Horror Nights, we didn't even ride a ride. I think you could ride a few rides. They had some going, I think.
The Mummy was open.
Mummy.
And some rides closed because they used the queues of the rides for the queues of the houses. So like
yeah. So like there are people, especially like when you get to like the Disney ones, like the Not So Scary and then the Christmas one, those like there are a lot of people, and like I rode rides. But there are still like dark rides you can do that are easy, or boats. I mean, there's still stuff like open that like are gentle if you want to do that. But then there's like parades, and then there's all the food, and there's like shows, and there's fireworks like in Disney's, and then Halloween stuff. It's all the houses and scare zones. I mean, just depending on the event, but like whatever event you go to, these theme parks, like it's just like a completely different thing. It's like you feel like you're almost not.
It's
in a theme park.
Completely different vibe sometimes.
It is.
In haunt mode.
Yeah.
And I will say too, for any who are hearing about these events for the first time, which is unbelievable to me because Halloween Horror Nights in particular is just a globally known haunt that happens at theme park. But we are talking about hard ticketed events here. So like this isn't necessarily the same day experience you'd have at a theme park if you come to one of these haunts. You do have to pay a little bit extra. Sometimes, Howl-O-Scream SeaWorld is relatively new in the central Orlando area. Howl-O-Scream Busch Gardens Tampa Bay has been around for quite a while. Halloween Horror Nights has been around seemingly forever. I think it's just their 32nd season this year.
Yeah.
So these are all events that they do charge a little bit extra for you to get an experience. But as Kaylee said, a lot of the rides are running during these events. It's still happening at a theme park. And it's still a very much a theme park vibe. It's just a very different theme park vibe.
Yeah.
So if you're coming for one of these events, if you're coming as a guest and you hear the word theme park and you're not a big rider, totally different experience. Don't come into it thinking, I'm not going to be able to do anything, because the whole point of these particular experiences is for people like you who might not love rides, but might enjoy being scared in some other ways, can experience the theme parks in a whole new way.
Yeah. One other one I thought about that was really good too was like Candlelight Processional. They usually have that one's like, I mean, like we went and it was really good. They have it like pretty much all November, December, like starting after Thanksgiving. Because we went to like the first one. We went to Thanksgiving. We spent Thanksgiving in Disney in 2019, and it started like right after. So, I mean, that's awesome. And like, I mean, you just sit there if that's your vibe, like if that's what you like to do. And also they have Eat to the Beat. They have like bands that come in and Epcot. And so like, if you're a big music person, like literally you could sit out there and they have like different bands come, like Festival of the Holidays. I know they have like different performers in each pavilion and there's a schedule. So like, definitely like Epcot's a really good park too. Like, it doesn't have as many rides anyways. I don't think if you like were to count.
That roster's slowly growing. I think they actually have more than animals in them now.
Oh, do they? I mean, like they've been adding some.
Compare it to like any other theme park. Yes, it's kind of limited on rides.
Yeah, but I mean, they have a lot to do. Like, so certain theme parks, I guess, are going to be more weighted for different things. But like, there's definitely like if you kind of look like Epcot's a good park that has a lot as well to do.
Speaking of Epcot, actually, playgrounds. The reason I say speaking of Epcot is because this is the only natural place to mention that Epcot, while it is limited on rides, it's still to this day, I would say, a more educational park where they try to trigger more of a creative response. So there's a lot of areas in Epcot specifically indoor and outdoor, that are very like stimulative, like in terms of triggering your imagination and your creativity. I'm thinking specifically of like the Imagination Pavilion with the jumping water, thinking of the new Moana exhibit that's coming with the Walk the Journey Through Water, which is supposed to be very water based.
It's supposed to be like interactive.
Yeah, interactive is probably the
maybe.
one I was looking for. But yeah, and the what's it called? The Mission Space Playground, where my dad, who incidentally we took my parents to Disney World recently, my dad gets really bad claustrophobia, so we all went on Mission Space. He could not do it. He was the only one who couldn't do it, so he was like, I'll just hang out in the little kids area or whatever and wait for y'all. So we come out expecting him to be standing there with his arms crossed asking, how was it? Instead, we come out and it takes us 10 minutes to find him. He's over there playing on one of the little arcade machines. And he just looks like he's having the time of his life. It was almost sad to have to pull him away. So playgrounds, I would say, interactive, immersive, or just kind of basic playgrounds on concrete as they may happen to be, they're open to everyone. Obviously, be respectful of kids.
Yes. I would say there are some like little playgrounds that clearly say like for kids 5 and under or something like that. Like there was an adorable playground at Carowinds that was like only for kids 5 and under, and I was like, well, I probably don't qualify for that.
And even if you are allowed, what I was getting at, even if you are allowed on the playgrounds, which most playgrounds at most theme parks you can. You do have to kind of consider the fact that this is built for the kids. The kids have kind of dibs on the area, so you have to kind of keep your distance and let the kids have fun.
But don't become a nuisance.
Right. Don't dominate the playground over
what's
the kids.
The name of the like outdoor playground area in Disney California Adventure? That one, and I can't remember the one that we met Raya in.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, well,
I can't remember what that was called. That was cool though.
Redwood Trail or something like that.
Yeah, that one's really cool.
Yeah.
It's big enough that like we as adults like got to like roam around on it and play with some.
And it's educational too. They tell you about like forest fires and whatnot, and how the California redwoods grow, and Dollywood has some of that as well. I plugged one from Efteling.
I thought there was just Toverland.
No, this is Efteling.
Oh, this is Efteling.
This is the one that we didn't go into at Efteling.
Oh, this is Nest.
This was mobbed with kids. The Nest play area over by Python, but Efteling has a whole heap and help of playgrounds. Some of them we did go in, and they were fabulous. Yeah. Most of them are packed into our day two.
I played in the Splash playground a little bit. Archipel, that was fun. We've done but like what is it? The one at Universal.
Well,
Camp Jurassic.
Camp
Jurassic. Yeah, that one was so much fun.
Because we all went together to Camp Jurassic, and Kaylee is going to hate me.
Is this where the clip comes in?
The clip coming in. I stole a clip from Kaylee's vlog. So Kaylee, when we went to Halloween Horror Nights together, this was the first trip we ever took together.
Oh, wow.
We met up with our friend Connor, and the 4 of us went, and we were trying to kill time at Universal until Halloween Horror Nights started. And so we just wandered into Camp Jurassic, and we thought we were going to hop in there for like a minute and then hop back out. But we were in there for like 25, 30 minutes, just fooling around. And we had the time of our lives. So I'm going to play for y'all a clip from Kaylee's vlog at Camp Jurassic.
They have nowhere to go. We're going through a cave. It's kind of dark.
We're splitting up, guys. Are we going on board?
Probably die first. Oh, it's so pretty in here. It sparkles. There's lights. Oh, you can come over here. Hi. Where are they at?
We're gonna get squirted if we stay here long.
Okay.
Go.
We're looking for Tim. Wait, where'd she go? Is she over here? Oh, okay. I think we found Tim.
Was that fun?
Oh.
Yeah, the tight turn.
You sounded like an awesome. Hey, Paul, you knew it looked like that.
Yeah, I was like, he's not gonna make it around that.
You knew it looked like that, and you told me to go down anyway?
We are about to file a lost child report. 31-year-old child last seen on the slide at Camp Jurassic. Oh, look, they can squirt from up there.
You're all inside your body?
I'm good. I think I'll stay here. They got a water battle going on. Connor has joined in.
Good times.
That was so fun.
Oh, that was a fun
You
one.
cut off the part, well, Tim cut off the part where I think, was it me that dropped my phone and I had to run back for it or something?
I mean, I don't think that was in the vlog.
I don't think it was.
I think it was a thing that happened. You were like, someone's phone, and I was like, my phone!
I know, you just dropped it. That was so funny, though. Oh, I still cringe a little. I don't like to watch back my own videos.
Well, everyone else
Once you're out, I'm like,
time.
it's fine.
Yeah.
I greatly enjoyed that day.
And I know for a fact that you worked very hard on that vlog, Kaylee. So
I did. I'm proud of the vlog. I don't know. I always like, it's one of those things, you know, I guess it's like people who like, you know, the people who like make TV shows and they're like, yeah, I never watched the show. It's 'cause they do it and then they're like, I can't watch myself. I have to edit it.
Like Camp Jurassic and Tom Sawyer Island at Disney World and Disneyland, respectively. Like those are some of the best underrated play areas that are like accessible for adults. But Camp Jurassic is by far like my favorite. Like
I didn't even know it existed, and then y'all were like, "Why don't we do this?" I'm like, "Oh, I didn't even know this was here," and it was so fun. It was so fun.
Tim loves his waterfall.
I do, and that's, I mean, you all saw it. It didn't look like a playground initially, but it is actually a playground.
Yeah, it was fun.
Through like the Camp Snoopy one a little bit, and that one was really cute.
So every Cedar Fair park has a play area that's like, or a kids area that's themed to Peanuts, where there's usually a little bit of a playground there as well. And Camp Snoopy by far was the best at Knott's Berry Farm. That was like the top bar. Everything else at Cedar Fair, I'm sorry, so far is coming way below, like not even competitive.
Yeah.
Anyways, playgrounds are fun. Y'all should check them out. Let loose your inner child as a non-driver. Landmarks. This, honestly, I put this in here because I know this is actually important to a lot of people. It's not as big a draw for me, but Katie and Kaylee both appreciate good history. So I pulled an Ace roller coaster landmark from Busch Gardens to put in the slideshow, because these are all over. This is like the roller coaster enthusiast club that goes around and designates something historical, and then it kind of gets maintained, and it's typically not torn up or removed ever because it's a historical landmark, which is kind of cool because you can look at the coasters and be like, this thing has been around since 1978, and it's been the only double interlocking loop coaster of its kind forever and always. But then you also have places like at Dollywood, Dolly Parton's historical, like rebuilt Tennessee Mountain Home, which was pretty cool.
There's also like the chapel there at Dollywood.
Which
still has like church services.
Functions
on Sundays,
as a chapel. You can get married there, but you have to book that pretty far in advance. Efteling, Fairy Tale Forest is a huge historical structure that was basically what the whole park was built around. So like every park has history.
We learned that there's a piece of the Berlin Wall behind the Hard Rock Cafe at Universal City Walk.
Yep.
So if you've ever wanted to see a piece of the Berlin Wall, you can. I don't know why it's there, but it's there. And thanks to
because it rocks so hard.
Thanks to Mitch from our Florida Passport, who was hanging out with us.
Pointed it out.
Hey, you guys want to see something? Here's a piece of the Berlin Wall. But yeah, definitely. I think historical landmarks are interesting to look at and note, or at least take in if you're there.
And it's something that, again, as a non-rider, if you're interested in history and you're not interested in thrill rides, this is something that you can do that potentially combines both without you actually sitting on the roller coaster.
Yep.
Scavenger hunts. We kind of make up our own when we go to theme parks. Like, we'll go through and we'll look at the special items of the parks, and sometimes we'll put together lists that we can play off against or compete with our friends.
Or curated scavenger
But
hunt.
there's also at Disney in particular, you got the hidden Mickeys. At Busch Gardens, you got the seasonal leprechaun or pumpkin hunt. Every park, to some extent, has some kind of hidden gem that you need to be looking for. You don't need to be, but as a non-rider, you have the time to be. So why not? You know, this is something you can get excited about too.
During the festivals at Epcot, Disney also has, in years past, it's been like an Olaf
Easter,
or a
Easter egg
Ratatouille.
hunt.
Well, there's also the Easter egg hunt, which is fun. There's also like the Ratatouille. This year it's Ratatouille at Food and Wine Festival. You can find his.
I think it was last year too.
Yeah, but I think for Festival of the Holidays it's Olaf.
Yes.
So you can find like a little statue in each one of the areas, and you can do that without paying for it. You can just find them. You can also pay like $7 or something for like an official scavenger hunt, and you get a little prize. Sometimes it's a food prize, sometimes it's like a little like toy prize. Apparently this time it's like an actual full-size lunchbox to find all the Ratatouilles. So
when you buy a ticket to the scavenger hunt, you're actually just paying for the lunchbox.
I guess so, but I like a scavenger hunt, so
it's the thrill of the hunt.
I like the front.
The front.
The front. The thrill of the hunt. But yeah.
So scavenger hunts can be fun. I will also say at Disney in particular, if you have the smartphone app, you can go through and do the Play Disney Parks, which allows you to engage with the parks a little bit more. There's a lot of scavenger hunts inside that app, so you can fool around with that as well. I never have, because honestly, when we're at Disney, we're mostly about the rides.
If you're at Disney and you have like the Magic Band Plus in Galaxy's Edge, you can do like the Bounty Hunter game.
Find the Bounty Hunter.
Fun. Also, there's things.
Kaylee, you're dark.
Sorry. Well, so I tried to make it like full screen, and it took all my light away because I couldn't. As I told you guys, I could not find. I usually have a ring light, but yeah, I'm like sitting in my room in the dark.
Hold on. Do you need us to brighten you up? We could.
What?
It's all good. It's all good. No, like this is just how. Usually I have a ring light though, but like since I've traveled recently, I don't know where my. Yeah, I don't know where my like adapter is to go to my computer. So. And I was
no worries.
I think you can see you just fine, but yeah, if you try to go full screen, you lose your brain.
Yeah, I learned that pretty quick. I was like, oh, never mind.
Honestly, I think this is our last thing anyway, so I think you'll be good in just a second here. But I was gonna say atmosphere is the last thing, and this is true of any park, anywhere. People watching, character watching, smelling the smells, hearing the rides. This isn't for everyone. I understand that if you're not a big theme parker, sitting in the midst of a crowd and just listening and smelling and seeing is not necessarily going to be the most stimulating of experiences. But you'd be surprised how many people find that really cool. I would also loop in things like the wand experiences at Universal with the atmosphere. This is something that, like, if you have a friend that is dragging you to Universal, you're not going to go on any rides, but you're hanging out in Harry Potter Land. Why not have your friend give you a magical wand to interact with the pots and pans?
Go buy me a $40 wand if that's what they cost anymore. And I'm going to go do magic.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, like,
the good news is we did discover that they will work in Hollywood.
They do. There's a transfer.
And they should work in the new, like, magic. Then they work in both, like, islands and studios, and they should work in Epic Universe when that opens. So once you have a wand, you can do magic at any Universal park.
I don't want it to be exclusively about wands, though, when I'm talking about it.
No,
this is just something that I like
but this is what I
lope into.
This is what I brought up when I was like, we have to thank, Kaylee sometimes for, I don't want to say like preventing us from doing the thrill rides because that's not what I'm saying. Because we were like, all right, we're going to skip some thrill rides.
Slow down.
The perfect example of this was Knott's Berry Farm. Like we got to spend so much time walking around. We talked to the guy.
Trying boysenberry everything.
Trying boysenberry. We went through the ghost town. We went through the graveyard. We went and played with the water shooting things on the rapids ride, which none of us wanted to do that day, but we got to squirt some people with the water.
And speaking of history too, like Knott's Berry Farm has a lot of old historical buildings that are still there from when it was a functioning farm.
The glass bottle building that's been there forever.
So that can be a historical thing. It's also part of atmosphere. Like all the things that we do at theme parks, we think of the theme parks as theme parkers who like rides. We go to theme parks, and I am guilty of this. I'm like, we got to knock out this ride, this ride, this ride, this ride. I love rides. I want to ride all my favorite rides every time we go somewhere. But there are also days, and parks in particular, like parks we go to all the time, like Hershey, which is our nearby park. Sometimes it pays to just slow down and walk through and just look at things. Like the intentional theming that was done on this, what's it called? The overhang in front of this fudge shop, or the way this Christmas tree and the seasonal, like how the ornaments are very carefully hung to like glisten a certain way and show, and then you look closely and you're like, oh, there's a little Hershey Kiss in there, like stuff like that. The little things is what a true theme park is all about.
I think one of our favorite things to do is to like find a good spot and like listen to the music loops that are going on. We ended up spending a lot of time in the Avalon area at Toverland for one reason or another, and we got to the point where we're like, well, I'm really jamming with this music now. At the end of the day at Epcot, when we're all taking our last minute spaceship Earth photos lit up, we hear that music playing, and we're like, I really like this entrance exit music for Epcot.
And the rebooted entrance loop for Epcot is very controversial. A lot of people don't like it. I love it.
Yep.
It's my favorite entrance loop since Islands of Adventure.
You do love the Islands
I do
of
love
Adventure.
Oh, fun fact, guys. There's strong, I will say, I don't want to say proof, strong rumors that the Islands of Adventure soundtrack will be released on August 17th in 2 days on Spotify and Apple Music. So I would check. I will be checking that. But if I were you and you care about theme parks, I would also check Apple and Spotify in the next couple of days. Anyways, so atmosphere, environment, just taking everything in. Water features are a favorite thing for me. I can stand and look at a waterfall forever. That's why Animal Kingdom is one of my favorite parks. Just being in the midst of the theme park environment is, for some people, a lot of fun. And if you're a non-rider who's coming to a theme park, there's nothing better to do, you may find it's fun for you too, to just sit there and take it all in. So this, I think, will lead us to our closing thoughts. I'll ask each of you, how would you excite a non-rider for a theme park visit? And I will ask it, to anyone who's watching. I know we've had a smaller audience tonight, so I don't know how many people are watching live. But if anyone would like to supply an answer to this question in the comments, you are welcome to do so here as well. But specifically, the two of you, how would you excite a non-rider for a theme park visit?
I don't know who's going first. I don't want to talk over.
Yeah. I'll say Kaylee.
Okay, Kaylee.
Okay. Well, I think it depends on the person, but overall, I would say I really think it's like y'all said, like there's something nice about just like enjoying the atmosphere. Depends on the park. Obviously, each park offers something different, but like, a lot of the parks like Disney, Universal, Knott's Berry Farm, the world that you get into, it feels like you're in a different time, a different place. Like I said, literally you could spend all day in Avengers Campus, like just whatever is your thing that you like, just being in that world and like being like feeling like you're in a different place. It's just so cool. And just kind of seeing what's around you. And I think like we've mentioned, there's just many things that you can do. So I would never tell someone not to go to a theme park. Like, if you don't ride rides, I feel like if you want to go, like, I think there's plenty to do, and you just kind of have to be open-minded. And I mean, I'm pretty easy to please, so I like anything. Like, I'm amused by anything. So like, I know some people are not that way. Some people are like, this is boring. But to me, I think there is a lot to do, even if you can't ride rides. So.
Can you top that?
I mean, I would also follow the kind of like, it's a escape from the real world. You can go to a world, depending on where you're going, a world of fantasy, a historical world, a futuristic world, whatever it is. And also, like, depending on who you're trying to convince, like, be like, I want to hang out with you. I know I'll help you have a good time here. I know this place well enough that I know exactly what it is you're looking for. Just like with taking my mom to Busch Gardens, she was kind of apprehensive at first. And I was like, Mom, we're going to hang out. You're going to be with your daughter, with your your niece and nephew and their kids. We're going to see this show. We're going to ride this ride. There's new foods to try out, and it's supposed to be a beautiful day. And I had the edge of saying it's also my birthday to kind of go in, but really was able to convince her to go without much fight from her. Not that she's like gonna fight, but and one thing we kind of forgot to mention too, just because there wasn't much to talk about, is there's also like shopping opportunities in theme parks, merchandise you might not see. Some of that cute like Cracker Barrel kind of vibe that was going on at Dollywood and Knott's Berry Farm for like merchandise and stuff like that.
The only reason I didn't include that is because if you're not already excited by what you're experiencing at the theme park, you're probably not going to be going shopping. So like I was thinking in terms of like what would get people to the park, but
I do have a friend who's warming up to rides. This is not Kaylee. I have a friend who's warming up to rides, but has fallen head first without hesitation into pin collecting. So she loves to go to Disney and look. And
it's
shop.
me.
It's not. It's not. It's a
I do have a rapidly expanding
who sometimes jumps
pinboard
on this live stream, but I don't think is on right now. But I'm not going to name any names. But anyway, the warming up to ride has actually been on Cosmic Rewind too. That was one of the most intense rides they've ever done. But loves to shop and things like that. I think Kaylee's right. It depends on the person. It depends on the park. I don't know if I would necessarily be like, Mom, come to Hershey Park with me, because there's a little bit of a different vibe there than Busch Gardens was. But we know Kaylee's gonna have a fun time at Hershey. We've got it all lined up.
Because we have the advantage of knowing the park, and we know exactly how to, and we know which all your motion sickness triggers are too. So
how would you
know me?
That I was about to say.
I'm turning the question to you.
Both of your answers kind of are separate halves of my whole, and I think the only thing that I have left to add at this point is what got us hooked on theme parks to begin with. I'm famously, especially on these live streams, I'm famously critical of Disney. I'm not a huge fan of how the parks operate in terms of like people getting to the parks, newcomers trying to experience the parks, navigating the smartphone app, the expense. All of these things make for a very stressful planning phase. And planning is part of what I love about going to theme parks personally. But still to this day, when I walk into Disney, I forget all of that. Everything that I was like, oh, I'm so angry at the mouse for doing this, that, and the other thing. As soon as I walk through those doors, the team members are so nice. The theming is so great. The music is so good. The smells are so good. The characters are wandering around. All my anxiety just melts away. And the thing is, that's not just true of Disney. That's theme parks as a whole. Well-run, well-organized theme parks that are immersive and atmospheric. That's what got me hooked from the get-go, is like being able to walk in and leave my anxiety and my troubles at the door. And that, I think, if you go into any given theme park, any good theme park that's run well, with the right attitude, as soon as you're through the door, your anxiety does kind of melt away. If you're looking at the thrill rides and you're like, I'm not going to be able to do that, there's no way, then your anxiety is going to sit with you for a second. But if you go with a group that knows you're a non-rider, and you, especially after, hopefully this live stream gave you a few tips of things to like kind of look forward to at theme parks without the big rides. If you can look past that skyline of major coasters and just be like, I'm going to have a fun time doing the dining, doing the shopping, doing the shows, meeting the characters, that anxiety does just dissipate. It melts away. And like I said, you leave it at the door. And that, I think, is probably the chief thing that I like most about theme parks, is the fact that you can be a kid again and be amongst a whole sea of other people who are trying to be kids again themselves and everyone can have a good time.
Yeah.
So, I think we all kind of had the same mentality, and we just found different ways to express it. But I like that. To sum it all up, the parks are for everyone, and not just the coaster enthusiasts. Not that we don't love roller coasters, we do. But for those among you who do not, there's still a lot to get excited about at these parks.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Plus
Ultra.
Plus Ultra. All right, y'all. Let's shut it down. We've been talking for a minute. So I do want to highlight, as we often do, the creator spotlight. We try to highlight a couple creators that bring us joy in our Instagram and social feeds. Ever.after.adventures is a husband and wife duo that mostly does Disney content, but has also visited a couple other places. They're very genuine, they're very wholesome, and I love watching their vlogs. Instagram, YouTube, and very recently added on Threads. Abby Wood Adventures does not just do Disney content. Her home park is Dollywood. And she's actually found us, and she's been very supportive of our channel, but she also has a lot of really cool content, particularly on Instagram and TikTok, but YouTube as well. And Kilimanjaro Katie is primarily an Instagram creator, but she does do some amazing content, and she is just so full of life and energy. And she is, I believe, she's a runner who's going through a hard time right now with some medical issues with her feet, and she's still managing to maintain a very positive feed and a very positive outlook. So I just find people like that so inspiring, and I think you all should go check her out. I also would like to plug Kaylee one last time while she's here. I know we've kept her on the stream for a long time. I am trying to go all the way back. Flip, flip, flip. If you're not already following Kaylee on Instagram or YouTube, at least YouTube, fam. At least go check her out on YouTube, because her vlogs bring life to our lives.
Oh.
She is an awesome person, and she will be. Kaylee, are you vlogging in September? I think you are planning to. But...
I'm planning on it, but I never know for sure until I get the moment. I really don't.
No hard commitment, but there may be some spooky stuff from Kaylee coming after her visit to us in less than a month, right? At this point. If not, she will certainly be in our vlogs. Yeah. She will certainly be in our vlogs, so you can expect to see her again soon. But please do follow her. She is amazing. She's one of our best friends. And we have been so happy to have her on the live stream tonight, talking about fun things with us.
Thanks for having me.
Yes, here we go. Our next live stream, we're actually doing another one right after this one.
That is right after this one.
Right after this one. We weren't, not like, next, like in the next hour, but like a week from this, instead of waiting 2 weeks. We weren't planning on talking about Vegas as its own live stream, but we honestly have a lot to talk about.
Way more than we
more than we thought we were going to have to talk about. We do have 2 Vegas vlogs coming, and then this will be our in-between that built the gap. So lots to talk about. And that may wind up being the last live stream for a while, because our Septembers, the more we look at it, the more we're like, I don't know if we can do live streams and content with all that we're doing. It's going to be busy, but we will see. Thank you, Kaylee, for joining. It's been fun having you.
Thanks for having me.
Thanks for bringing your life experience.
We will go ahead and sign off, fam. Thank you all for joining us. And for anyone who watched the replay, bless you for sitting through almost 2 hours of us yammering on. We love you all. I'm Tim.
I'm Katie.
I'm Kaylee.
Very good. And every day
is a new adventure.
We'll see you again soon.